So I've been using the iPhone 11 Pro Max, heavy usage using the camera. I'm making a film only test on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, so make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you guys want to see that with notifications on. But anyway, let's just get this review started. Now, first things first, I want to talk about the design. So the design, it looks exactly the same as the iPhone XS Max, but if you turn it around, you guys can see that's a big difference there. I love the frosted glass back, so there's no fingerprints. It's just nice and matte, and it just looks beautiful. It works really well. And you guys can see if it hits the right lighting, you guys can see that military green, that midnight green beauty. But this side here, it kind of just looks space gray. So it depends on the lighting. And honestly, the camera module is actually growing on me, but I still like the iPhone 10 camera module a little bit more better, just because the fact how the flash is in the middle and there's nothing else on there, that's really good. But you have that glossy back material. I do appreciate the stainless steel frame. It is the same midnight green if it hits the right lighting. And yeah, it's just a beautiful, well-built phone. Apple never disappoint when it comes down to the build quality and the design of their phones, and this one here is no exception. I do like the stainless steel frame better than the aluminum frame on the iPhone 11, but stainless steel is just more premium, and it's more grippier. It's not going to just slip out your hand easily. And yes, you still have the same exact notch as the iPhone 10 and 10s. If we do like a little side-by-side comparison, is exactly the same size. But what's weird is if you go with the Pro Max, it makes it seem like the notch is smaller because you have more screen. So this is a 5.8 inch screen, and this is a 6.5 inch. If you get the iPhone 11 Pro, the regular one, it's going to be exactly the same. You do have more nits, more brightness, but it's exactly the same dimensions and the resolution as the iPhone 10. So as you guys can see, you have more screen real estate. In terms of the width, you can see more of the water. And honestly, I look at the iPhone 11 Pro Max or the iPhone 11 Pro as the iPhone 7. This is the iPhone 7 of the iPhone 10 series, just because it's exactly the same front, but the camera module is different, and they also bringing back the matte material. Just like on the iPhone 7, they did introduce the matte black for the first time on the iPhone. Now the phone is a bit heavier, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It is weighing exactly 226 grams. So yeah, it's a little bit heavier, but when you're paying $1,000, you want a little bit more heft. You don't want no light phone after spending $1,000. And yeah, I like that trend, how Apple is, making the phones a little bit more heavier. If we get a better battery life, which I am going to talk about in a little bit, then I don't mind at all. And really, the camera, going back to the camera design module, it doesn't really stick out too much. It sticks out, it protrudes, but it's not too bad. Like, look at the camera. It's not protruding too much like the iPhone 10. Or it could be this exactly the same, but it's a little bit more lower, but you're getting more, it's more wider. If you have an iPhone Plus model, you're going to feel right at home, because the same exact body as a plus size iPhone this is featuring an OLED display. So OLED is far more superior than LCD, which is the iPhone 11. The OLED, you get in richer colors, vibrant colors, deeper blacks, and it's excellent energy efficient. So as you guys can see, it's hard to see the notch because the pixels are off. Anytime there's color, that's when the pixels are on. So smart LEDs, it's organic LED display. So I'm going to pull up a video so you guys can see. Alright, so I have one of my favorite video. This is the time when I went to Calabasas. And also, listen out for the speakers. I'm going to put the mic towards the iPhone so you guys can hear clear. Alright, so here we go. Maximum volume. All right. So yeah, pretty cool. And the speakers are fantastic. It's almost like carrying a Bluetooth speaker. It's like it's built into your phone. So if you like watching a lot of movies on your phone and you're coming from the iPhone XR, this is going to be a major upgrade because you have the OLED display. It's a bigger display on top of that. Or even if you're coming from an older iPhone like the iPhone 8 Plus or the 7 Plus, you guys are gonna see a big difference. All right, so now moving on to the star of the show, the cameras. The cameras on this iPhone, right? It's crazy how we have 4 cameras on an iPhone. We have 3 cameras on the back, on the rear, and then we have 1 camera on the front-facing camera here. So on the back, you have your telephoto lens, you have your wide-angle lens, and you have your ultra-wide-angle lens, which is the game changer right there. All cameras have 12 megapixels, including the front-facing camera. So the front-facing camera, you can now shoot at 4K 60 frames per second. So you guys can see on the top, 4K 60 frames per second on the front-facing camera. So you have the same exact resolution on the front-facing camera, just like on the rear. Now the quality on the rear is far more superior. We're not at that stage quite yet, but we're getting pretty close of having the full same rear shooter on the front. Now, one thing I wish Apple would add, and they can add this within the update, they need to put the camera settings on the actual application. I shouldn't have to go into settings and then look for the camera panel. They should include this into the settings application. Now, as you guys can see, 4K 60, and keep in mind, if you get into 64 gigabyte iPhone, you're gonna run out of space a lot quicker, according to the text down here. Every single minute is going to take up 400 megabytes. But one thing new for me is stereo sound. Stereo sound is literally a day and night difference compared to my iPhone 10. My iPhone 10 only shoots in mono microphone. iPhone 10 and iPhone 11 Pro Max side by side. Side by side. Better late than never, I guess. And finally, you have night mode on the iPhone. And we needed this. I needed this on my iPhone. And it's finally here. And as you guys can see, the pictures are draw dropping. I am doing a camera comparison between the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 11 Pro Max and the iPhone 11. And make sure you guys subscribe if you guys want to see that. See, the quality, it just speaks for itself. I mean, you can actually make out what's going on in the sky. It's just not all black. It's some depth. It's some texture. If you're into photography and videography, this is the phone to get. I gotta give it to Google, man. Google be making one of the best camera phones. But Apple, man, they on top of the food chain right now at the time of this recording. I pay attention to the Android side. I don't just pay attention to Apple stuff. Now, next up, I want to talk about the performance. The performance on this iPhone, you guys guessed it, is fast. It's blazing fast, but not only that, it's efficient. It's efficient. It's using the A13 chip, but Apple is really focusing on efficiency, really more than power and performance. This is only 20% faster compared to the A12 chip, which is found on the iPhone XS and the XS Max. The RAM is exactly the same also, so 4 gigabytes of RAM. And the more RAM you have, basically, you can run more applications in the background. So for example, the more RAM you have, if you launch up 20 applications, you can go back to that last app, the very, very last app that you open up first. It's going to remember. So the more RAM you have, the better. And 25% larger battery on all models. So that is a day and night difference. And I got to tell you guys, Apple is right. You get an additional 5 more hours compared to the XS Max. Now, I never had the XS Max, but just coming from the iPhone 10, the battery life, it just blows this out the water. Literally, it does. And you have more milliamps. And then you have the efficiency of the A13 chip. And then I'm pretty sure Apple is going to optimize iOS 13 to be a little bit more battery efficient. Finally, you get an 18-watt power adapter Type-C to Lightning on the iPhone Pro Max and even the iPhone 11 Pro. You're not going to get it on the iPhone 11, which kind of sucks. But hey, keep in mind, the iPhone 11 still supports fast charging. It's just not included inside the box. iOS 13 is still a bit glitchy to this day. iOS 13.1 just came out, so maybe they fixed some of those glitches. But Apple is definitely refining iOS 13 with consistent updates. Apple is not playing around when it comes down to updates and, adding new features to your phone and fixing security. So you don't really have nothing to worry about in terms of updates. If you guys want to learn more about iOS 13, I made a couple of videos talking about iOS 13. So make sure you guys check those out. RIP 3D Touch. I do miss 3D Touch already. Move the cursor. I keep on holding the keyboard, but at the same time, I keep on forgetting there's no 3D Touch. So you have to hold the space bar, and then you can move your cursor just like this. I miss 3D Touch. People wasn't using 3D Touch, so that's why Apple got rid of it altogether. Alright, so concluding this video, if you hate iPhones coming from Android, you're going to hate this phone. You know, I'm just going to tell you guys straight up, you hate iPhones, you hate Apple, you're not going to like this phone. Even if you hate iOS, if you don't like iOS, the lack of customization or always on display, you're going to hate this phone too. Because the user experience is the language of a phone. This is an iPhone aimed towards photographers and videographers. So if you're a hardcore videographer or photographer, you might want to upgrade to this iPhone. But if you have your iPhone XS or XS Max or even the iPhone 10, it's not gonna, you're gonna feel a little underwhelmed because it's the same exact design, the same exact notch, same exact screen resolution. Although you have a brighter display, it's pretty much the same user experience. Like when I upgraded to the iPhone 10, I was coming from the iPhone 6 Plus. That was an upgrade. You know, new user experience, you know, all screen design. That was an upgrade. But upgrading to the iPhone 11 Pro Max, it's not really a significant upgrade. I mean, the camera alone makes it a good upgrade, but we're talking about $1,000 here, guys. $1,000+, 1,100. If you have crappy battery life now, just make sure you check your battery's health. Maybe it's time to change your battery life. But overall, I recommend waiting until the next generation of iPhone. The 2020 iPhone is going to be a major leap from the iPhone 11 Pro. And not only that, you're still going to get the iPhone 11 Pro features. You're still going to get the ultra wide angle lens. But at the same time, you're going to get more features on next year's iPhone. A brand new design, Type-C, Pro Motion display, just to name a few things. And you're even going to get a faster chipset, the A14 chip. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to mention. This thing is the best phone in terms of water resistance. It's IP68, but it goes all the way up to 4 meters. So you can put this thing underwater, 4 meters. I'm not going to do any tests, but it's pretty amazing on how much care that Apple put into the water resistance and dust resistance. You guys see those little micro scratches? They everywhere, and they kind of deep too, especially on the bottom. And yeah, you need a screen protector. It's definitely relevant to have a screen protector in 2019. So Apple claimed this to be the toughest glass on any smartphone. It still can scratch, it still can crack. You don't want to put yourself in jeopardy of cracking your iPhone. But other than that, guys, that is my review of the iPhone 11 Pro Max. If you guys did enjoy it, I appreciate it with a thumbs up. Make sure you guys subscribe with notifications on so you guys be notified when I upload. And other than that, comment down below what you guys think. And I'm out. Have a simple day. Peace.